Hi, I'm Wayne Jaco with Cumberland Sales. Today on the Riggers Box, we're going to be talking about shackles. This is our first episode on the Riggers Box, kind of trying to get into the YouTube world. Hope you enjoy. So shackles can be used across a variety of different industries and trades. A lot of times shackles will be used to connect a crane or a pulley or a winch of some sort to the load that it's moving. A lot of times if you've got this load sitting there and you've got your truck, you need a way to connect these 2 points. So shackles are real easy little component to hook to the load, to your truck, and you're ready to move it. There's a lot of different types of shackles on the market, and part of the video today is to discuss how to pick out the right shackle for the job. There's screw pin shackles, bolt type shackles. We've got different shape shackles. You got D shackles, long reach shackles. There's different finishes of shackles. There's galvanized shackles and stainless shackles. So there's a lot of different options out there, and so now I'll kind of push in a little more depth to understand what's the best way to pick it out. So there's 2 pieces to every shackle, just about every shackle. You've got your bow and you've got your pin, and I showed you earlier how to use these and connect them to your load and your pulling device. On every shackle, you should have 3 things for it to be a OSHA approved device. You should have the working load, what a shackle should be rated for. This one might be rated for 10 tons. Then you should also have a brand name. So if the shackle is to ever fail, or you just wanted that shackle again, you like how it performs, you've got a brand name to go back to find it. Crosby, CM, Greenpan, these are huge brand names that are pretty well known across the industry. So you've got the working load, how much it can pull. You've got the brand name, who made it. And then the last thing you've got is the trade size. The trade size is a real quick way for you to tell a sales guy like myself which size you want. This might be a 1 1/4 inch, a 1 1/2 inch. And the way you determine what it is, if the trade was scarfed off of some sort, is this would be 1 inch. That's actually where we measure the trade size. This is at the bale. This is the pin. It's always going to be 1 size larger. So if this is a 3/4 inch shackle, this would be a 7/8 inch pin, and so forth. So I mentioned the working load of these shackles and the rated capacities that we call it. And these capacities are determined by vertical inline pull, just a straight pull from the pin to the top of the bow. Now, shackles are actually 100% rated up to 45 degrees of the shackle offset there. You can see it as I'm demonstrating. After you pass outside of that, the shackle is drastically reduced in capacity. It could be anywhere from, as soon as you get outside of that 45 degrees, it could go to 50% down to 0% capacity real quick. And so basically, instead of pulling this direction, you're essentially opening the ears of these shackles, which is a problem, and the manufacturer won't specify a load for that. So we've talked about working loads and capacities, and we've talked about the trade size. The last thing was the brand name. So the brand could be Crosby, I mentioned earlier, CM. We've got Greenpan sitting up on the table here, and all of these are actually marked on the shackle itself. You'd be able to find it, whether it's a trademark sign or actually the full name listed on there. You've got United States manufactured shackles, which are a pretty common request in our industries that we serve. You've got European made shackles, you've got Chinese made shackles, and a lot of times you'll hear people say they can't use a shackle that's stamped China. Well, the reason why you can't use that is because that's not actually a brand name. China is a country, so if it's stamped China, you really don't know who manufactured that shackle. Really, you just know where it was manufactured. So it doesn't pass the requirements for ASME and OSHA like these others would with their brand name stamps. So there's different types of grades with shackles. Much like you go to the hardware store and you buy a grade 3, a grade 5, or a grade 8 bolt, depending on the application and how much strength you need. Same thing applies in shackles. So you'd have what we call just a standard old carbon shackle. That's gonna be your stainless, that's gonna be your basic galvanized and painted shackles. It's gonna be the very basic standard industry requirements. Then we have carbon, semi-carbon, some people call it semi-alloy depending on which catalog you're looking in. And then the last one is a full alloy shackle. So these two shackles can be the exact same size. They're both 1 inch. We'll just assume that they're both made by the same manufacturer. They're the exact same size. Everything's identical, but the strength of these shackles are different. That's where you get your standard carbon shackle versus your super strong, what they call a semi-carbon shackle. So they can be identical in every way, but one of them could be significantly different in strength. So with the different strengths and different grades of steel on these shackles, you could have 3 different ratings listed on each shackle. This is a carbon shackle, rated at, we'll just make some numbers up, 7 ton. This semi-carbon shackle would be 10 ton. And then the same size shackle, everything still being identical, 12 ton. So 7, 10, and 12 tons for the exact same size shackle. The reason why you would want a different strength shackle for the same job, for instance, I've got a 20,000 pound hook and I need a certain width here on my shackle. That's a pretty common request for us. Hey Wayne, I need 1.5 inches inside of this shackle. Or if I use a carbon shackle, my shackle don't match the capacity of my hook. I need more capacity out of my shackle to match the hook. Well, here you go. You've got the shackle size you need with more capacity. So the last thing I want to talk about with shackles is the finish of shackles. You've got a variety of different places shackles are used, where they could be used indoors and in factories. They can be used outdoors. They can be used underwater. So you need a variety of different finishes to meet your application. So if there's a corrosion factor, you might want a little bit of galvanization on your shackle. If it's a lot of corrosion, like say salt water for instance, or underwater, you might want a stainless shackle, which is even better for corrosion resistance. If you're just simply using them indoors or on a job site, painted would be a good option for you, not providing quite as much corrosion resistance as the other two. Thanks for joining us today on the Riggers Box talking about shackles. Again, I'm Wayne Jaco with Cumberland Sales. I hope you enjoyed the content. It's time for me to go do a little fishing, but first, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.